Hello everyone. This is going to be the first in a series of occasional videos about individual Japanese poets. Through these, I'm hoping to bring to your attention some of the more interesting characters who are responsible for producing waka poetry and putting a human face onto the rather uninformative names which you may see written down in anthologies of translations, or even anthologies in the original language if you happen to be reading them. The poet I'm going to talk about today is a man by the name of Minamoto no Muneyuki. We don't know when he was born exactly, but it was probably in the early to mid 870s, and he died in 939. He was the son of an imperial prince, Prince Koretada, and thus was the grandson of Emperor Koko. But like many young men of royal blood who were surplus to requirements, he was demoted from the imperial family with the award of a surname, Minamoto, in 894. The expulsion of excess princes from the imperial family was principally done to reduce the drain upon the imperial household's economic resources, which were required to support them. But a secondary motivation was the thought that by creating a group of people with blood connections to the imperial house, and often basing them in the provinces outside the capital, the imperial house would have a ready-made group of supporters who could act as a counterweight to the influence of other major noble families in any future political conflicts. There were a number of such surnames bestowed, with the most well-known being Minamoto, Taira, and Tachibana. If you know your Japanese history, then you'll know that the plan was not entirely successful because over the centuries, the Minamoto and the Taira in particular morphed into sprawling warrior families who eventually decided that they rather liked the idea of controlling the country for themselves. The Taira followed the time-honoured route of marrying into the imperial family and attempting to control the government from behind the scenes through familial connections. And this eventually led to the Genpei War between them and the Minamoto, which began in 1180 and culminated in the sea battle of Dan no Ura in 1185, at which the Taira were annihilated and the Minamoto were completely victorious. The Minamoto then went on to establish the first samurai government in Japan, the first Bakufu, based at Kamakura. Their triumph, however, was short-lived because they too very quickly became mere figureheads, controlled by the powerful Hojo family, who acted as regents. All that, of course, is several hundred years past Muneyuki's time, and so in 894, when he was probably in his early 20s, he found himself cut loose from the imperial house and left to make his way in the world as a capital aristocrat. As a former prince, of course, he did start off with some benefits. His initial court rank was junior fourth lower grade, which put him just among the ranks of the senior nobility. Life was somewhat hard, however, for a young man lacking powerful family support, and his official career was unspectacular, to say the least. He had a number of supernumerary provincial governorships and was director of the Bureau of Horses for a while. But his most senior and last official position was Master of the Right Capital Office, to which he was appointed in 933, when he was probably in his early 60s. We know that he was somewhat concerned about the poor state of his career as a result of an anecdote which is related in Yamato Monogatari, the tale of Yamato, an Uta Monogatari which was completed around 951. Incidentally, an Uta Monogatari is a work setting a variety of waka into prose contexts to suggest what the stimulus might have been to the poem's composition. The most famous of these is undoubtedly Ise Monogatari, the Tales of Ise, which was substantially based around the poetry of a man named Ariwara no Narihira. Getting back to Muneyuki, Yamato Monogatari records the following. The late master of the Right Capital Office was Lord Muneyuki. While he was fretting over when he might achieve advancement, His Majesty, the cloistered Teishi Emperor, was presented with a stone with seaweed clinging to it from the province of Ki, and various people presented poems on the topic. The Master of the Right Capital Office composed Okitsu kaze fukei no ura ni tatsunami no nagori ni sae ya ware wa shitsuman. From the offing the wind blows upon the beach at Fukei. Are the breaking waves indeed a memento I might keep? The Teishi Emperor was Emperor Uda, and the poem is a fairly unsubtle play for his support in advancing Muneyuki's career. The breaking waves are the tears that he is shedding over his lack of success, and he's asking if he's going to have to keep shedding them, or whether there might be a promotion or a better job in the offing. He doesn't seem to have had much luck, because Muneyuki then tries again with a further 2 poems. Aware chou, hito mo aru beku, musashi no no, kusato dani koso obe karikere. A pitiful man indeed there is upon Musashi Plain, where with the wretched grasses he has put down roots. This is followed by Shigure no mi furu yamazato no kono shita wa oru hito kara ya mori shigunu ran. Showers simply fall upon a mountain retreat beneath the trees. Has someone gone astray there to make them seem so endlessly thick? In the first poem, Muneyuki is complaining that he has been stuck in one job for a long time and hopes for something better, while in the second, the showers are, again, his tears, and he is implying he is lost without the support of a powerful patron. What might have been the result of these appeals to the former emperor? Well, Yamato Monogatari records. When he received these, His Majesty was not of a mind to respond. I have heard that he read the poems, then showed them to someone, saying, "What is this about? I don't understand." And so it is said they had no effect. Poor Muneyuki. Or perhaps not, because despite his lack of official success, Muneyuki did have something of a reputation as a poet. He participated in a number of the most significant poetry matches of the time, including the poetry match held by the Empress Dowager during the reign of the Kampyo Emperor, Kampyo no Ontoki Kisai no Miya Utawase, and the poetry contest at the house of Imperial Prince Koresada, Koresada Shinnoke Utawase, both of which were held in 893. And then later in former Emperor Uda's poetry contest, Teishin Utawase, held in 913. There are also records of poetic exchanges between him and Kino Tsurayuki, one of the compilers of the Kokinshu and one of the most famous poetic figures in Japanese history. It's also possible that he fancied himself as a bit of a lover, because Lady Ise, who was renowned as one of the great beauties of her time, and also one of its best poets, records the following in her personal collection, Ise-shu. From the Master of the Right Capital Office, when the pinks were blooming in profusion. Waga sode ni utsuraba utsure, temo yamazu tsumi ya iremashi nadeshiko no hana. If to my sleeves it is to shift, then let it. My hand will not cease to pick, and I would tuck within a flowering pink. My reply. Koki kagiri, koto wa tsumi irete, nadeshiko no, ue naru sode no irozo misemashi. There's a limit to the depth picked and tucked within, so atop the pinks, the sleeves' passionate hues, that's what you should show me. The pink, of course, serves as a metaphor for a woman, in this case Ise, and Muneyuki is saying that he cannot resist her charms. In reply, Ise lets him down gently. She doesn't outright reject his advances, but suggests that he should be a bit more demonstrative and prove his affections to her. Were the two of them serious? Well, the consensus among scholars is that this is a piece of light-hearted flirtation between friends rather than serious romance, largely because this is the only recorded poetic exchange between these two, and if they had been lovers, then one would have expected significantly more. In addition, Ise had relationships with a number of significantly more important and senior men, including Emperor Uda himself, so there would have been no advantage to her in forming a connection with someone as low-ranking as Muneyuki. Poor him again, perhaps. His skills as a poet were recognised by his contemporaries, and by later critics, however, as he has a total of 15 poems in imperial anthologies, including 6 in Kokinshu, and he was later counted among the 36 poetic immortals, Sanju Rokkasen, which is a list of significant poets put together by Fujiwara no Kinto, himself no mean poet, early in the 11th century. What really assured Muneyuki's poetic immortality, however, was the selection of one of his poems for inclusion in the Ogura Hyakunin Isshu collection, which, as I have said in another video, forms the basis for the game of Karuta and so is widely memorised even today. That poem is composed as a winter poem. Yamazato wa fuyu zo sabishisa masarikeru, hitome mo kusa mo karenu to omoeba. In a mountain retreat, winter is when loneliness overwhelms me. The bustle of folk and the grasses too have withered away, I feel. That's it for Muneyuki. I hope you found this little exploration of his life interesting. If you have any questions, as always, post them in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel for more waka-related updates. See you next time.